And then I'm always frustrated because, well, you know, I didn't do that very well. This was so disjointed a class, you know, that, you know, we went from one squirrel to another. And, you know, how do you ever figure out what on earth was the main point of this class, right? Terrible. Well, but I'm trying to be a particular kind of person. I also try to become a particular kind of father. Very disappointing to discover 10 years after, you know, the kids were little that we were doing it all wrong. You know, and now they're telling us, I can't believe you did this, that, you know, that and the other thing. You know, one daughter said, I remember you were so mad at me the one time you broke my skis in half. Oh. I didn't remember that, but she did very clearly, you know.
It's like when you smack kids.
No, I didn't smack them.
No, I mean like what we were talking about. No, I wasn't accusing you of smacking your kids. I was just saying like what we were talking about earlier.
Yeah, well, yeah.
Like kids remember that.
Well, I mean, my parents did smack us, and that was back when they thought if you didn't, you were being a bad parent.
Okay.
You're not teaching your children right from wrong.
Okay, I do remember being in my mom's bedroom waiting for the wooden spoon to come and get my bare butt. Yeah. Get it on my hand. Oh.
Remember rule of thumb.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, you have the little stick.
Use a little stick that's no wider than your thumb, you know, and that's what the husband's supposed to beat the wife with at least 2-3 times a week. I don't know.
Oh,
You know,
It was
otherwise-
scheduled?
Probably, especially if you were Presbyterian.
10
I had a
a.m.
stressful day at work today. Come on.
So, 2 years old, apparently, is when the child becomes aware of themselves. And you can do a mirror test. This is where you put the person or animal in front of a mirror. And if, you know, the dog sees itself in the mirror and goes, "Arf!" You know, that's just dumb. He's barking at himself. You know how you do, right? But when the child is in front of the mirror, it starts going like, does my hair look okay? Go
Have you
ahead.
ever stared at yourself in the mirror so long that you're not even a person anymore? Like,
Yeah.
you're just
Whoa.
like, dang, I'm really in this thing.
Yeah. Like
I'm
what?
really here.
I don't think I've done that.
Well, my problem is whenever I see myself in the mirror, I'm backwards.
I just usually pluck my eyebrows if I look at myself in the mirror too long.
Because, you know, you go to, that's the other, no, wait, what? The mirror gives you a reverse image.
Yeah.
How come it doesn't give you an upside down image?
Some do.
Yeah. Some
That
do.
is true. Wait, so like.
So we're still talking about 2 years old, here, right?
Yes,
Okay.
because we're doing the mirror test.
Oh.
And at that point, if the creature recognizes that it's the self that I'm seeing,
So what if they see themselves?
it has a self-awareness.
Okay.
Parrots can do this. When parrots see themselves in the mirror, they know it's them.
Really?
But when parakeets see themselves in the mirror, they think it's a friend and they try to feed it.
Aw.
That is good.
That's so
My
cute.
grandpa
That's so
has a
wholesome.
parakeet in that.
Yeah, and so with parakeets, you're constantly cleaning the mirror. Why do they do this? You know, because they're, you know.
Sure.
But with parrots, they never make a mess of the mirror because they know, that's me. You know how they know.
What
So
Yeah.
I think
So
dogs also do the same thing. Maybe.
I
Because
suppose it depends
my
on.
dog will stand there looking at it for hours and just wag his tail.
Well, so this is, you know, they say this is called the mirror test, and that enables you to know if the creature that's looking at the mirror and recognizing itself has a self-concept, right? Well, once we have this self-concept, we, as Ellie was just talking about in that short video, if you saw her, we can only become a self-consciousness when there are others who are also self-consciousnesses and interacting with us. So what we're looking for is the look in English, or le regard in French, or recognition. We need to be recognized by others. I like to say that I am as I see others see me. So I learn who I am from my significant others, the people that really are significant to me are the ones that I'm really dependent on the constant interrelationship I have with them for knowing, am I a good husband? Am I a good father? Am I a good teacher? Am I a good citizen? Am I a good retired army, person? All those different things. I go over to the post, I show them my ID, and they say, thanks for your service, or whatever they, whatever the different, word of the day is, right? It reassures me. Yes, I'm in that club. Pretty cool. I get free medical care. I could get free medicine. I could go to the commissary and shop there. Pardon?
Do you have a hat that says U.S. veteran?
I do.
Cool.
I do.
You're in the club.
I very rarely wear that one. I wore yesterday. I was wearing my my favorite hat, really, and that's the one when I was on a Coast Guard cutter for 2 weeks. The very first day, I had a BDU cap on because I was dressed in my BDUs, and went out, and the wind went, and it blew right off into the Gulf of Alaska. The end of that hat, right? So the captain issued me a hat from the Coast Guard cutter. So I have, a U.S. Coast Guard cutter Boutwell, weather class Coast Guard cutter, hat with the little pin, because while I was on her, we went over and back across the international date line. So I got the little walrus pin that indicates that I was on the ship when we did that.
Well, my favorite hat that my husband owns says "Stop pollution, eat garbage."
Okay.
Like a raccoon?
Yeah.
Some of my daughters would be absolutely convinced that I'm already doing that, because all the food I like is garbage as far as they're concerned. And then they bring home as, we'll make you a real food. They do something and I look at it, what is this? Because I've never seen it before. And they say, eat it. And I eat it and I'm going, very interesting.
I was told you have to eat something between 20 and 40 times, and then your taste buds will start to enjoy it.
Whoa.
You just have
Now,
to get used to
usually
it.
after the second time, it's, it's
Yeah, thanks.
so much like vomit. Who wants to eat it again? No, that's
But if you
terrible.
think about
That
it,
was a
you
terrible.
had-
Never mind, that was a terrible joke.
Just about everything is an acquired taste.
Yeah.
I really like vinegar drinks.
So what happens inside my mind happens between other people, right?
Yeah.
So, I'm trying to kind of focus on this point, but do it in a way that's fun for everyone, right? So in a sense, the class is a self-consciousness, and I'm engaged in this dialectic with the class, right? We can have a state of Alaska where we have an assembly or a Congress that literally the legislative body, all the representatives, they all come together and they're all trying to vote on what their, voters want them to do and so on. So in a sense, what we have is a self-conscious awareness within that group. Pardon? Vibes. Within that within that body to try to think of what does Alaska want. We had the same thing with the assembly in Anchorage, and they're all fighting over different things. That's really representative because you get all the anger comes out, it's annoying as heck to people who are trying to deal with it, but boy, that is democracy in action, that's the way that really works, right? Might not work very well, depending on what your hope, for an outcome is, but that's what happens when you let people all decide for themselves together what we should be doing. The United States has such a self-consciousness, and we're interacting with it constantly, and in fact, we could think of the world soul or the world spirit as being a consciousness, that maybe would be represented through the UN or through various other bodies where we've got all these 198 countries represented, with their representatives all sitting around in a big, auditorium, all amazingly translating one language into another through the banks of translators behind the glass.
When you're in like a self-consciousness for like the United States, would you mean like politics and stuff? Like what would be an example for self-consciousness for the US or in like worldwide? What would be an example?
Well, for Hegel, the example at his time was Napoleon, and he's in Jena, the town, when Napoleon goes riding through on a white horse. And so we have him saying, there goes the world soul on a horse.
So like a significant event that's affecting.
It's like at this particular moment, Napoleon's self-consciousness is one with the movement of the entire social environment. The world's consciousness is being led by this person. So he's a world historical Weltgeist, right? Remember, Geist is the word that he's trying to analyze. And you have a Weltgeist, the world soul. What is the world soul? Well, one person doesn't really answer it, but if you can think of the entire world of all the people all interacting is moving in a particular social direction. We can look at graphs of data that explains, wow, more and more people are living like this, or having, this kind, more McDonald's, than ever before.
Didn't they just call that God, like 200 years earlier?
That becomes a self-consciousness too for Hegel. Because if you think of it, is God aware of God? Does God have a self-consciousness?
I think if you believe that God exists, then yes.
Yeah, because if it's just the way Anselm gives us the argument that if God is that than which nothing greater can be thought, but doesn't exist, then there's everything else that exists that's greater than God, but God is that than which nothing greater can be thought, so therefore God must exist. On the same argument, you could take it one step further and say, and so the best animals are those that are self-conscious. You treat them that way, right? Chickens, just hang them up.
Oh.
Fried on a stick, in all the stores. Well, they're not self-conscious. So we don't have to worry about it.
It's just wings, a wing store. So all those chickens, it's a lot of chickens.
And then you go out in the field and you see all these chickens right there.
Well, go ahead.
What was your question?
I was gonna say, if God is like said to be all knowing, wouldn't he know that he himself is God and he's self-aware that he is God?
We have to think of God, I think, if you think of God at all, as existing, as self-conscious. And Hegel points out that the first time that it seems like God becomes self-conscious is in the life of Jesus. Because Jesus, if the interpretation of the scripture, the New Testament, is right, describes himself as